Hi, welcome to Suplex the Sticks, a gaming podcast hosted by David and Seth.
Hello.
And Forrest.
Howdy.
How's it going, fellas?
Making it.
Oh, yeah, everyone can see your thumbs up,
My
Forrest.
2 thumbs up.
The that's
Great.
good radio.
It's good for the video.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The video.
viewers.
Probably the video
The
feed
secret
that we
video feed that no one knows about.
do. Yeah.
Man, I'll be honest, I haven't played much video games. I've been keeping up with video game news, and I guess technically I have been playing some that I can talk about. Just nothing like super exciting.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing Fortnite. I've been playing a lot of my live service stuff, which is hilarious that we're in this age of like live service games dying. But that's probably mostly because people are already set in their ways with the ones they have. And that includes me with, I'm playing Pokemon Unite when I can. I like playing that a lot. I play Fortnite. I'm casually playing Star Wars Hunters as, that game kind of grows and has its, like, time in the sun. I kind of wish that was on Xbox instead of just only on Switch and mobile. But
yeah, I'd be more likely to give it a shot.
But it works really well on mobile, so I'm not like too picky about it. I'm not too precious about that.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing the great deal of just trying to get by in this Star Wars game. I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws, which is a fantastic game. I had started it the last time we talked. I am nowhere near beating it. It is very big. There's a lot to do. And the worst thing about it, I guess you could say, is that I like doing it. So it's going to be a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth situation where there's a lot and I'm going to do it all. So it's... and
Sometimes you can have it all.
This is true.
so that's my life right now. I boot into the game and I genuinely just live in it. It does not follow the same Ubisoft sort of dish out of quests. You can like... There's not like a watchtower that you go to and have to climb and then you jack in and then your bird flies around. There's nothing like that. Like
That's
you
a shame.
you naturally explore the map. It unveils itself. It tells you if it's controlled by a certain sector of or certain faction, the Hutts, the Crimson Dawn, or the Pikes, or the Empire. And then
The Pikes from Star Trek are in this game?
no,
Captain Pike?
The Pikes, Pykes. You've never really seen them in the movies. They're in the shows, but they're not really in the a lot.
Yeah.
But they're not really in the movies. But it's a fantastic game that I'm really, really enjoying. The stealth is just simple enough for me to love it. It's like just hard enough while being just easy enough. You can send out your little axolotl friend to like distract guards or set off explosions further away from you so it can pull people away. Because the little axolotl, I've learned they made it invisible to everyone for the most part. And it's more of a probably Watch Dogs-esque phone tool where you use it to set off stuff farther away to pull. So it's probably Watch Dogs-esque in that way. But one fun encounter I can talk about with that game, just to the uniqueness of the faction system. So at any point in time, you can do side quests that will please certain factions but might anger other ones. So like say you get a piece of intel on the Crimson Dawn that they were spying on the Pikes. And you get that piece of intel. And so I got one, and one of the Pikes was like, "Oh, what do you have there?" And I had the choice to tell them, "Hey, I found this Crimson Dawn listening device that you guys just didn't notice." Or I could have lied, and I probably would have gotten more reputation with Crimson Dawn, but I told the Pikes the truth. That was a Crimson Dawn recording device. So I lost reputation with Crimson Dawn, and I gained reputation with the Pikes.
Why would you do that to Daenerys, the leader of the Crimson Dawn?
She deserves it. She was terrible to Han in Solo, a
Broke
Star
his
Wars
heart,
story.
really.
A great movie that I forced Forrest to sit down and watch, like
And I
back
liked
at
it
the
a
old
lot.
apartment.
Yeah, it was sad.
I love that movie.
That's a very good movie.
Except for how blue it is.
It does. It has weird color grading. There's a lot of. I think the reason I love that it is kind of the weirdest Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it definitely feels like 4 different people made that movie, and I kind of love every bit of it. Man, what a time to be alive! That movie.
It was strange.
Yeah,
Very unlike any of the Star Wars movies that came out around it, for sure.
right for
Came
sure.
out before or after it.
Right.
That's
Really.
what around means.
Yeah, it that movie and its performance
of all
changed everything.
Yeah.
It changed Obi-Wan and Boba Fett into being shows. We don't need to go down that road. Star Wars fans are terrible. It's very rough out here. I'm not one of them. I love Star Wars, and I liking Star Wars. And so I'm generally baseline pleased with everything I see because it's just more Star Wars. Except for Episode 9. That was actively bad.
Yeah.
But I think that is the
Yes,
one
sir.
uniting beacon in the sky for most everyone.
Yes. We can all agree.
That the plot is
Episode
bad,
9.
but it is a very beautiful movie with very cool things that happen in it. Just none of it is held together by a plot that makes it
I
mean
don't think
anything.
I liked any single thing that happened
Yeah,
in
I
that
think
movie.
I'm with. I think
I
I'm
think-
on Seth's side on this.
I don't know, the lightsaber fight on the remnants of the Death Star, it was really
Oh,
rad.
Okay, I forgot that.
That was, and the way the rain was sizzling. Oh, that scene is really cool.
That
I'm
does
sorry, that is purely vibes. That and the riding the horses on the top of the ship, I really like that. It's stupid, but I really, really
I
liked it.
forgot about that. That was really stupid.
I put on that movie a lot as background noise. Actually, I'm not even joking. Because I don't get sucked in to watch it, so it's perfect background noise. Because
So
I just
true, because it's
I
not
wanna-
good enough to be sucked
I
into.
want to hear and feel Star Wars around me, but I don't want to get sucked in and focus on it. So I use it as good Star Wars background noise. So Outlaws lets you do that stuff to bring it back.
Let you ride on a horse on the Star Destroyer.
No, you really only have your speeder. You can't ride other things. But by having these relations, the different areas of the map open up to you. So, like, say there's I had to get an ion casing, a piece for my gun, so that it could also do
Hold ions.
It could, yeah. It does something with gates, and I can take down certain gates now. Whatever.
A hack gun.
Yeah, I haven't finished that mission because I got distracted by side quests. So I went to get the part, and because I had familiarity and trust built up with the Crimson Dawn at the time, I could just go into that territory unimpeded. And now, in order to get to the part where I had to steal the piece, I had to sneak around a little bit because my clearance wasn't high enough for that. But because I had relationships with them, I could walk around enemies that would have been coming after me. Now, otherwise, I would have had to have snuck into the territory. I would have had to have not gotten caught at all, because if you get caught, you get thrown out of the territory. And it makes moving around the map easier or harder, which is very interesting, especially when your missions are going to land you in certain parts of the map and you don't know necessarily if that's how it's going to go. So that was kind of neat. Loved that I'm loving all the stuff in it. The only negative thing I really have is that I just don't have enough time to play it. It's such a how long to beat has it about like 18 hours for the main story, which is great, but like completionist is like 90 plus because they're
Gee.
there just is well that's the thing.
That's
there
insane.
is you can and they built it that way on purpose. Because the problem is these new Assassin's Creeds, in order to even just beat the main story, it's usually 60 plus hours.
Yeah.
So they
They're
built
massively inflated games.
They built a main path that's bare bones, not bare bones story wise, but it is the story. 20 hours, you can beat it and get it done. But they've also crafted all of this extra stuff so that you can live in the world if you want to. And one of the great things, and this is how I'm probably going to play it. I'm going to interact a little bit back and forth. One of the reviewers I read said that they were worried about beating it or whatever before embargo was up and blah, 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 because they need to get the review done. And nothing in the game drastically changes the worlds to where you can't do the side stuff after. You can essentially just kind of keep playing this game and do little heists and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that I can go and do everything essentially after I'm done. So that'll be good. I think I'm gonna pick and choose because some of the extra abilities are locked behind doing quests for side characters and stuff. Instead of it being like a skill tree, you just have to build your relationship with people. I'm really excited to get to the hot super battle droid robot. Like, he wears a jacket and stuff. Like, he's definitely got a vibe. Nice. And I want to meet him.
You think there's a malfunction in his programming that makes him put on a jacket?
So cool.
Seth, are you implying that droids are not people with free will and thought?
Yeah.
You're wrong.
You're going to get killed in the next droid uprising.
You are, well, it depends.
I think battle droids are probably different than most other droids.
Not super battle droids. Super battle droids are the higher evolved forms. But you are technically wrong. I'm sorry. At least since the problem is Star Wars movies do not touch that fact.
No.
Because they don't want to entangle
it doesn't
with
really improve the content of the movie.
Instead, they would rather talk about the blood virus of the midichlorians.
Yes. But also, even if they have free will, that doesn't mean
droids
none of them wear clothes. So I would assume
they could
if they wanted,
but they haven't. But clearly, since none of them do, they have no programmed in desire to do it. So it would have to be.
It depends on what you think of programming.
I mean, the thing that changes that is seeing a really cool jacket and going, "I need to wear that."
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's really a fine line that Star Wars walks of how sentient droids are, and each storyteller decides to use it to different lengths to fit their story. And so in this case, he wears a jacket. I don't know the story part to that yet, but Grievous, not a droid for everyone. He is a brain and a bag of guts, if you remember it catching on fire.
And a metal exoskeleton.
And a metal exoskeleton. Weird concept.
Kind of terrifying stuff. That's
never
not touched upon.
Fully explained except for in visual dictionaries that you read
ancillary material
at the age of 12.
He's a cyborg.
Yeah.
He's like that guy from Metroid Prime Hunters, the space pirate who's a brain and spinal cord inside of a robot body.
Correct.
It happens.
I love Ghost in the Shell.
Are you speaking of the PS5 Pro?
We'll get to that. We'll get to it. Put a pin in it. So I've been playing that, and I had a really interesting time playing Squad Busters with Seth the other day. a mobile game, as everyone knows. Now, here's the thing. The reason I feel...
It's a mobile game based on a commercial, as far as I know.
No, it's a mobile game based on the previous properties of Supercell.
Yeah, but they all seem to be basically the same game, but sort of different than each other.
It's sort of like their version of Smash Bros. Like all the characters you love of Supercell games are here.
Supercell.
Clash of Clans.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought.
Many mobile games.
Clash Royale. They did the weird island one, like where you invade
Animal Crossing
islands.
New Leaf.
No. You invade islands. But yeah.
Island Boys.
No.
A lot of games.
Download Squad Busters. It's super fun. And Seth and I play this game.
Is that Mr. T?
It looks like
no, that's Hog
heavy.
Rider.
Oh, that is Hog Rider.
Okay, but that is Mr. T.
No, that's Hog Rider.
It could be. Yeah.
That is the visage of Mr. T.
They're going to have a Transformers collab coming up, which is very exciting.
Yes.
With Unicron in it, which is insane.
Quick collaboration side note. I saw a thing earlier today that McDonald's and Genshin Impact are having a collaboration.
Heck yeah.
So
anime Ronald McDonald.
Do with that as you will.
So we played, we squatted up. Neither of us knew what this meant because the game doesn't really tell you.
You squatted up and you busted
means.
Down?
So here's the thing.
True.
You load in to be in the same match as each other.
Yeah, you're not on a team.
But you are not on a team. You are versus each other.
Oh, great. Love that.
So, like...
Battlefield does that sometimes.
It was so weird that, like, you essentially, at that point, can game the lobby.
Yeah, I actually thought about that afterward because I'm a much higher level than you, and so I'm presumably playing people who have also been playing longer and have more stuff unlocked. And I was just thinking about it. Because we played quite a few matches that one day, and I was thinking about it after. I was like, why did I do so well in all of those matches? And I think it was just because there was a bunch of people that we were playing with that.
Right. I lowered your lobby.
Yep.
And is weird. I think it's a great game. You only have to use one hand to play it, really. You just run around in circles.
It's unfortunate that it can't. The only thing I don't like about it is that it can't be played in vertical.
Yeah, it would be really hard to see where you're going and stuff, and have the
guess.
awareness you have in vertical.
But I would still do it.
Yeah.
That's my preferred way of playing games on a phone.
I agree. Is Dicey Dungeons vertical? I need to know this for the future.
I don't know. I never played the phone version.
Oh,
I had it on Switch, but I would imagine it wouldn't be.
Okay. I have downloaded some Apple Arcade games because I'm going to be on a cruise this weekend.
Nice. Did you download Pocket Card Jockey?
No.
Oh, you have to.
Do I play that with my the controller thing, or do I play with the touchscreen?
It's a touchscreen.
Okay. I'll give that a shot.
Oh my gosh, it's such a good game.
I've never played it, so.
And yet I've played it so many times. So many hours.
This is
you're staring off like longingly.
I don't feel bad because Seth has.
It was like one of my favorite games on 3DS.
Seth has never booted up Hollow Knight once.
That's true.
And I have continually told him he would love it. There's so many games.
Yeah, but it doesn't have solitaire horse racing. As far as I know.
He also never touched Prince of Persia. I don't think.
Yep,
I don't think you ever played that. Oh, you did?
Yeah, in the brief time that the month that I had Ubisoft Plus to play Skull and Bones, I also downloaded.
Oh my god! It all comes back to Skull and Bones.
A few hours in it. It's enjoyable, and I would like to finish playing it one day.
It's great.
I have a copy of the Xbox version if you ever want to borrow it.
Still trying to get a copy of Sekiro to play. Because I'm not going to buy it because it doesn't go steep enough on sale.
Yeah,
it is on sale almost every time there's a developer sale on the Xbox store, it does not go below like $45.
Nope.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to pay that. No offense to From. Their game is probably worth it, but I don't want to buy it. So, yeah, that's what I've been playing. I ended up making my section long, but it's because we were talking about Star Wars randomly, and that's
Randomly, you brought it up.
Well, no, I will, and yes, I have a problem. I will talk about Star Wars at length, given any moment. I'll find a way.
It is true.
But what have you guys been playing? Either one of you, I don't care.
Well,
We usually have an order to these things.
Yes, it's true. It's true. It's true. Okay, so I finished. What is it called? Animal Well. The
Is that the donkey game?
yeah. Well, that's. I was trying to think of. I was trying to think of a way to describe it by not saying that, and that was the only thing I can. It is published by Big Mode Games, which is the only reason I learned about it. But yeah, it was developed by one guy, I'm pretty sure. It is a puzzling platformer Vania type of deal. Like it's
I like how you say it's not a puzzle platformer, it's a puzzling
it's a puzzling game, honestly. It's like it's sort of a Metroid type game, except instead of combat, everything is just puzzles. So, and there's not really a genre for a thing like that.
Yeah.
Because it is in the style of a Metroid game where there are different, like, clear zones that you're going into, and you find these tools that then allow you to go back to other places and open up secrets and find new paths. But none of it's combat. It's all just sort of, you're this little blob who falls down in this well and sort of has to find a way back to his home.
Are there animals in the world?
There's lots of animals. Okay. In fact, you have to. It's the
Do
whole.
you like glob onto the animal and then take them over?
Ooh.
No, you're just. Most of the animals hurt you, so you're trying to avoid them.
It's like the opposite of carrion.
Yeah.
Where you just eat everything.
And it's a neat game because you're just sort of dropped into the game and it doesn't really tell you anything. So at the beginning there's only like one direction to go, and it does a pretty good job of like showing you the ropes in the little intro area, and then you come up into this large sort of flat plane, and you just have to decide where to go and to try to figure things out. And it's a really cool experience going through. I played like half of it and then got distracted playing something else and forgot about it. And it wasn't until I was talking to our friend Bryce that I remembered that I had been playing it and decided to go back and finish it. And it's a fun experience. It's got this sort of I don't really know how you would describe the art style. Like, it is in the vein of like 8-bit like NES games or like arcade games, but with a sort of weird, like this. It's sort of strange. It's hard to describe, but I guess the closest I could say is that it's sort of like a 8-bit type of deal. All very like lo-fi and ambient sounds going on, and it's a very cool game atmospherically, and I found a lot of the puzzles, just the moving through the world, to be. Whenever I figured something out, I felt really like smart because I was able to figure it out, and there's like tons of collectibles to find, and I say I beat it. I got. To the end and to the point where the credits rolled and there were fireworks, but I looked it up, and there is a true ending where you have to find a whole bunch more stuff, and the part of me that wants to do it, but part of me like after I got to the end, I like went through the places on the map that I had that looked like there could be something there, and I found all the stuff that I can like think of where to go to find them in my playthrough, and so I don't know that I want to go back and start banging my head against the wall trying to figure out new places to go. So I don't know. It was a lot of fun and a pretty quick playthrough if you sat down and didn't give up halfway and move on to something else. But yeah, it was a very cool game.
Cool.
And I also want to talk about. So I texted you the other day to download this demo for this game called Card and Ciel, which
I did not do that.
Is that the new Inti Creates
yes,
game?
the Inti Creates sort of roguelike Battle Network style game.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. The demo is quite large scale for what it is. It's
Oh dang, this game.
yeah. I found it the big difference it's not quite as much like Battle Network as I thought it was.
Well, it looks exactly
on first
like
blush,
it would be.
but I mean it is. It's a lot like it. All of the battles take place where you and your opponent each have their own 9x9 grid.
Right.
And I think the big difference is this game, it is not happening in real time, and you don't have free movement. So you have a deck of cards that you build your deck of different moves, but the moves, so they take the equivalent of energy to use, or you can use them. They also can be used to move without using energy. So you have to decide which it is you want to do. But because it's not in real time, it does take some of the action and out of what was in the Battle Network games. And I think there's a little less the differences of the variety of attack types are not there as much. And so the setting of this game, I really, from what I played in the demo, I really enjoy the combat, but I think I really kind of loathe the setting and the visuals and the music, which is. It's not that I think they're bad. It's that I actively dislike the decisions that they made because. So the setting of the game is that you are this. It's like a alternate world where all the games that people play are virtual reality games, which is sort of like, it's interesting because it's almost. Every other new anime that comes out is taking place with someone who's playing a VR game. And you are this VR detective who solves crimes within the VR world. And you jump into this game. I forget what the game is called. But the setup is that other games are leaking into this game world, and so you have to go into these dungeons to get rid of the data from the other games. And all of these other game worlds are either games that Inti has made, or they have created fake game worlds and populated it with a bunch of characters. And the characters double as the cards that you're picking up and the enemies that you're battling. And all that stuff is fun. The first dungeon that I played is based on Square Enix RPGs. I think specifically it's probably a riff on Dragon Quest. And as you go through the different levels, the player character and your guide character, she'll ask about, well, what is the plot of these games? So he gives you these kind of funny rundowns that are of these pastiches of games. And the second dungeon was based on Digimon.
Okay.
And then the demo that has 3 dungeons. Well, I'm up to the 3rd dungeon in the demo, and it is based on a fictional visual novel romance game where a person romances giant robot spaceship women.
Heck yeah.
And the premise of that game is these giant spaceship robot women came to Earth because they're running out of power, and all of them are carrying like 100,000 migrants from their home planet, and they need to refuel with the power of love of a single person.
Heck yeah.
But of course, only one of the robot women can get the love from this person. So whoever you don't choose, all of the migrants that are on those ships will die.
What?
It is an insane premise, and I kind of want to play this game. I don't think there's any plans for that game to be made, but there is one of the fake games that they created for this game, fake game worlds that they created. They are now making a game of it, so it's possible that these are all just like pitches that they have come up with that they're going to make. And I think all that stuff is really fun, except like the first thing you see in the game is this character Ansi, and her outfit is like this white dress with this huge cutout right where her breasts are, and there's like this little strip of fabric covering it, and it's like, well, this is the most absurd thing,
right?
And then there's so much of the characters in the game are like sort of designed like that. And the art style with which they are portrayed is like this kind of annoying chibi look.
You're losing me.
And so another thing that Inti does in this game is there are these... In Azure Striker Gunvolt, one of the main core characters of that game, in the first game was like, you are this... you're going after this huge corporation that is... using the power of this woman who is basically like a Japanese pop idol, but her song is able to control the minds of people. And so you go and save her in the first mission. And at some points during the game, she'll start singing and power up the main character. In that game, she's called a muse. So they made like a bunch of different muses for all of these game worlds. And so like you can... get them on your side, but then it turns the music into these like weird pop songs, which I got nothing against Japanese pop idol music. It's not my favorite, and I don't really want it to be the backing track of the battles that I'm in anytime I'm using them.
Right.
And it's just and all of this, it's just like these things that are making me dislike the appearance of this game and the sound of this game. And also it's kind of boring looking in that instead of you being in this game world, it's just like this big plain grid that you're walking on over like a blurry picture of like concept art that they made instead of... You're not really actually seeing the game worlds that are invading this other game world. And I guess it's sort of, again, to make it more like in the vein of what Battle Network looked like, where those were weird, just sort of shapes, like 3D shapes, and you were just walking on random colored grids.
Yeah.
Which was fine because it was a Game Boy Advance.
Right.
It's not really what I'm looking for in a game like this, or in a game on the Switch rather. So I don't know. It's weird. I think the gameplay is really fun, but there's so much about the package that kind of annoys me. But I would suggest invite you to download the demo because it's, so you can form your own opinions. But the gameplay is really quite fun.
Does the demo carry over to the main game?
Presumably.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to play a demo that long if it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because if it's 3 worlds deep, that's going to be a good sizable chunk of the game.
Yeah, that's
It'd be like that daggum Dragon Quest demo that's very long but doesn't go into the main game at all.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Even though it does the beginning of that game.
yeah.
So
At the end of the Digimon world, it's in that one. It's called Kizuna Connect. You're fighting against the two partner, not the two partner monsters, and then they warp, evolve, and fuse into their own version of Omnimon that you have to fight. It's
that's
really
good.
fun.
That's good.
The battle system is really neat because it has all of these weird moving parts to it. It's not just about damaging. I mean, you have to. It is about damaging the opponent enough to like delete them.
Right.
But it's got all of these like subsystems to where the different cards have all of these weird effects. It's really neat. All the weird stuff that they've set up that are interchanging parts in the battles. I found is really fun.
I mean, I'll give it a shot. I'll download
I just wish
it.
it was just like visually wasn't so abhorrent to me.
Yeah.
The trailers all look good, but
Yeah.
you know.
And it's also weird. There's no real like cohesiveness to the enemies that you're fighting.
Right.
It may be different in the main game, but like because you have no knowledge of most of these characters. They're just kind of like sprites that are floating in these battlefields. And they're just like, well, these are just characters that I have no idea who they are. It's weird. It's a strange game, but I both like and dislike in equal amounts for different parts. But it's interesting looking.
There's some crazy lights outside. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
All right. Card and Ciel.
Yep.
Have you played anything else?
Nope.
No. Forrest, what have you played?
Still working my way through Hollow Knight. That I'm just up and down with that game where I play it for like a week straight and I do nothing else, and then the next week happens and I don't touch it at all. It's a vicious cycle.
It's a beautiful game.
It truly is.
Like soccer.
Yeah. But I've come to at least enjoy the combat a little bit more now that I'm focusing on doing the pogo stick attack. Basically, there's a lot of my moves in combat. Just trying to utilize that and stay up and above enemies instead of trying to dodge around them on the ground.
You don't realize how, after watching a lot of the speedrunners and stuff, I did realize how much that game favors you as a player if you run right into the monster and fight it on make it fight on your terms.
Yeah.
Like if you try to hang back and dodge and like poke and stuff,
you're gonna have a miserable time.
it punishes you.
That's a lot like Neo 2.
Really.
Yeah.
Great.
That's what I found about that game.
And so it's like really interesting how like watching the speedrunners like just rail through these bosses, and I'm like, what's going on? And then during the race at GDQ, that I've watched like 3 or 4 times now, just because of how awesome it was.
It is really cool.
They bring up, they actually say it, and they're like, yeah, you want to stay close to the bosses. It doesn't break their patterns, but they have all of their distance attacks are more punishing than their ones are up close.
Yeah, and that's the tendency that I kept falling back into, is that like especially when I would want to heal or something, I'd try to get as far away as I could,
but then
they would just jump right onto me, which basically was a waste of a heal if I even got to get it off in time, and that's just like so frustrating. So I started doing that, of trying to stick close and on top of them, and
it's harder for some of those fast bosses.
Yeah.
Some of them are so fast.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the game has become a lot more enjoyable that way because of it. I think I remember one of the last times I talked about the game on the show, I was talking about how I was struggling with the combat, and it was a major stain on an otherwise great experience for me. But now, things are starting to level out a little bit.
I told you if you can get like a couple of the nail upgrades,
Yes.
like with the different attacks that you can get eventually, you're gonna have a better time.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of character upgrades. Like attack power, health,
And use your
soul.
spell. Use your
Yeah.
spell.
Yep.
Don't
There's
heal.
good stuff
Use your
there.
spell.
I mean, sometimes you need to heal.
That's-
Mainly don't get hit. Then you
Yeah.
don't need to heal.
That spell thing is so much more powerful than
Yeah.
you think. It's so much more powerful.
And I'm gonna segue the don't get hit so you don't have to heal into I've been playing a lot of the Elden Ring DLC. I think people that complain about that being hard are just bad at the game.
That's unfair, but okay.
I don't think it is. I really listen.
How many Scadgetry fragments do you have?
I think I'm at +5 or 6 right now.
What bosses have you gotten to?
I got through the Rolana fight, and then I don't think we've gone on to the next major section after that.
So
but
you
we've
haven't
done a bunch
done
of side
Mesmer?
stuff. No, haven't gotten to Mesmer yet.
Okay, well that is the
With that said,
the point where I decided this game is too hard.
sure, that's not going to be me.
We'll see.
I'm telling you right now, brother. I have a blast with this game, even on failed attempts.
Some might say he's mesmerized.
Yes, exactly. But no, I just every run is a learning experience.
Yeah,
and I only get better each time I play. I'm sorry to sound like,
We'll see.
I'm built
We'll
different
see.
or some crap.
No,
but
but
I
only get better.
I do not
You-
get frustrated with this game.
yeah, but you haven't done Mesmer yet. That's what.
I'll do them all right.
You haven't gotten to Mesmer and to the final boss, which, I would argue the first two main path bosses of that DLC work close to how the bosses work in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, I'm actually, crud, that reminded me. I'm doing a side quest right now where I'm fighting a dragon named Bale.
oh yeah, I've heard of how cool that
Curse
was.
you, Bale.
Yes, curse you, Bale. Oh, that guy rocks.
Jeff Grubb killed that guy on the way up to Bale
That's a shame.
because he thought he was sketchy. So
God, no, he just killed the best hype man in the entire
he
series.
killed that dude on the
Oh
way
my
up to
God.
that fight because he thought he was sketchy.
Curse you, Grubb.
And I think it's great. I think
Dude, that's
I
so
think
sad
that,
to hear.
I think that's stuff in video games where you can do that.
you can
is-
just accidentally
yeah,
kill. Yeah.
It's
That's great.
excellent.
And boy howdy does this DLC have a lot of characters that you could accidentally do that to. The Bale fight rocks though.
Some you maybe should do.
Oh.
Yeah,
Curious.
but not that one guy with the brother and the weird armor.
Oh,
that
yeah,
David
D.
killed. D.
I mean, I use
And
that armor
D.
throughout the entire video game, so
But you
I
still shouldn't have killed
rocks.
him. You can get it without killing him.
Well, you know.
I
It
didn't
just
kill
takes
him
a
on-
lot longer.
I didn't kill him on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I did,
Yeah.
but he spawned in with a group of enemies, and so
He
I
misread
thought,
the situation.
yeah, I misread the
It was
situation.
a complete misunderstanding, and he did not go to the Turtle Pope to
No, so fun fact:
fix his sins.
if you kill them,
Yeah, it doesn't bring
it doesn't
back.
bring them back.
Oh
to
yeah,
life.
no, that's what I'm saying. I think you can aggro them and then run away.
Yeah, but I didn't know the Turtle Pope existed
Yeah.
back then when I aggroed him. And even then, I killed him on first try, easy. Uninstall the game. GG.
Honestly, he wasn't worthy of the armor. That's the real reason David went.
I
through
thought
with
he
it.
was just an overworld boss, like one of those invader guys.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, Elden Ring rocks. Shadow of the Erd Tree rocks. I no other game makes me feel the way that game does. In the best of ways. I am constantly like in a high, having an adrenaline rush.
You should try Pocket Card Jockey.
On my 3DS?
Yeah?
Yeah, I'll do it.
You probably can, actually.
I'll
The
find a
eShop
way.
doesn't exist anymore.
There's ways around that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You just hack your 3DS.
Yeah.
You know, I tried dipping my toe into 3DS emulation this weekend.
Like on your computer or something? Or
Yes, because I wanted to play the English fan translation of Medarot 9, Metabots here in the US.
Nice.
But I couldn't figure it out.
No.
It's not as simple as
It's like
downloading a ROM.
Yeah.
You have to download multiple pieces of the game file, and then the game updates, and then the English patch. But also, the files have to be decrypted by a 3DS, which would require you to put them on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And there seem to be ways around it, but I could not figure it out. I think it would be easier on a PC.
Yeah.
Because people don't really write the programs to do it on Mac.
So back in the day when I was like super into emulation, I always struggled with even base level DS emulation. Like something about it just did not work the way any other thing that I tried to emulate did. Something about that hardware, and then the later versions of it too. It's just the most arduous process.
Well, it's definitely. I think DS these days is
much easier.
Plug and play basically with, you just download the emulator.
It's
and
why it's
double
all
click
going to
on
be
the ROM.
okay once Nintendo releases the clamshell Switch 2.
Oh my god!
And
I don't know what I would do with myself.
The DS.
Well,
the
not-
Nintendo DS,
I
but the S stands for Switch.
I do not think it'll be
No, it
clamshell,
won't be.
but that would be beautiful.
Yeah. God.
They just need to remake all of the 3DS games and put them on Switch.
Honestly?
Maybe not all of them. Definitely Kid Icarus.
Oh, that's the most important one.
definitely
Project
Kid
X Zone.
And
That's actually what I downloaded.
Oh, nice.
I was able to get that running, but it's
That game
also weird when like stuff is doing on the touchscreen and the controls at the same time.
Yeah. That game rocks for about the first 10 levels, and
Yeah.
then it becomes the worst game I've ever played.
And then Codename
What
Steam.
about Project X Zone 2?
Didn't play it.
Codename Steam. I wish that game was better. I wish I enjoyed it more.
That game, I really enjoyed what I played of it back in the day, but I never beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the final boss is a what are they called? I forget. The weird blobby monsters from H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, yeah, you've said that. That's like a secret Lovecraft game by the end,
Yeah.
basically.
It's not even a secret. One of the characters in it is literally a character. What's his name? There's his name character that H.P. Lovecraft used in a bunch of his stuff.
Not a Jenkins brand.
No, it's something I forget. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Hold on. Another game that I started playing, it's on Game Pass right now. It's called Atlas Fallen, I think. It straight up just feels like a
Randolph Carter. So
Ah,
thinking of.
nice. Good pull. This game just straight up feels like it was designed in like 2009 or 10 in a really great way. It's just an action game with kind of janky combat. That like each button is a specific dedicated different kind of attack. It's just really easy stuff. And it's pretty linear too. It's just, I mean, like there's open world sections from what I've played of it so far, but it's just really easy peasy breezy. Pick up and
Beautiful cover girl.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I think I've just come to really enjoy games that are not needlessly bloated.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot of that means that I'm playing a lot of like B tier indie games. Like they're not like A tier or triple A, but like
Double A games.
Yeah, even a little less, you know.
A games.
Yeah,
Single
A and B games.
Sounds like you need to buy Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2.
I want to.
Yeah.
I also want to buy Space Marine 1 because I've heard that it's really good.
Just get 2. It's newer.
Yeah, but it's also more expensive.
That's true.
And it's not on Game Pass.
That's true.
I mean, neither is 1, but, you know, cheaper than 2. But, yeah, so that's all I've got, though. And then also, the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection comes out tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, and I pre-ordered that earlier for the Switch, for the digital version.
Gonna take you for a ride.
Da-da-da-da. Yep.
That we can all agree on as well.
Yes, sir.
I'll play that when you come over, but I'm not paying full price for it.
That's fair. I'll bring my Switch over every time. I already do,
Especially since
anyways.
I would have really only cared to play that game, Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah. What's the best one on there?
Right.
Of the 2.
Well, I mean, there's like, you know.
Yeah,
the
they're
other
the
ones.
other games. But of the 2 Marvel vs. Capcom games, it's definitely the best one.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the 2 news things that are the biggest news.
Let's talk about Sony's week.
So
They had a fun week.
Sony's
sort
had a
of.
wild 2 weeks.
They've gone from it's so over to we're so back down to it's so over.
I don't think they were ever back. I think it was just always we're
No, the release of Astrobot really was a really happy high, and then an immediate crash down.
Yeah, so Concord is dead. We've talked about this on the show before, I
said 2
think.
weeks.
It is now being taken out from people's digital libraries.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't know that.
Yep, it's been taken out of digital
They
libraries.
didn't even do that for PT.
And even the press, that got code, it's been taken out of press accounts, which is special. So
Big ups to those people who got the disc in the 2 days that it was still viable.
they'll never be able to play
That's
anything
true.
on it.
Because it's only online.
Yeah. So Concord is most likely dead forever. I don't think it's going to go free to play. I think it's pretty much dead.
But it will live on in that Amazon show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unless Sony... I was reading a tweet thread that was really interesting the other day about how if Sony declares this game as a financial failure as a way to write it off in taxes, they technically can't release that episode because technically Sony will be making money off of it.
Oh.
So and then they'll be in breach of contract with Amazon because they've promised this episode. So it's a weird Jenga game.
Yeah. Which would be more financially painful for them. Breaching that contract
For sure.
for the write-off or
Yeah.
what it is now.
I'm pretty sure the most damaging financially is spending a decade making this video game. Seeing as they started making it after Overwatch came out, they thought, oh, this would be a good idea.
It would have been had it come out within like 3 years.
Yeah, instead of 10.
Yes.
Yeah, don't want to dunk on it while it's down, but it didn't look interesting. No one played the beta. What the easy solution would have been for them to say, hey, we understand, we're going to reevaluate, and not had it fully released and just cooked a little bit longer on it, maybe.
I don't think it would have fixed it.
I don't think it would have fixed it, but it definitely... I don't think $40 for it out the gate was the right move either. But, it's is what it is, and it's gone. So for all you Concord heads out there, I'm sorry.
Concordians. Concord grapes. That's
Concord
what they call
grapes.
themselves.
I'm sorry that your game is gone. I hope you didn't spend too much time or money on skins. I guess you're getting refunds anyway.
Yeah.
And then
There's at least one person out there who got the platinum trophy.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
And then Astrobot came out. Sony's on a high. They just got kicked while they're down with Concord. Astrobot comes out. People love it. Some people's game of the year. A lot of people that I respect when it comes to like platforming opinions have said it's one of the best 3D platformers ever, and
it sounds like it's up there with
Rivals,
the great Marios.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's they said it's easily better than most 3D platforming Marios. The people I was listening to said the only argument you could maybe make is Galaxy 2 and Odyssey. Like those two are like where it's like hard to draw a distinction between the two, or pick one or the other.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's people are loving
Interesting,
it.
because they're very different games.
Yep. I hope it sells enough. This is my other terrifying thing is that the Sony crowd doesn't come out for stuff like this. They want the sad. They want the sad games.
They want Days
Sad,
Gone.
hyper realistic. They wanted Days Gone for sure.
Don't you dare put Days Gone in your cute little...
Your cute little celebration
I'm
of
sorry
PlayStation
that
games.
Deke is hanging out with the little robots or whatever. God, I hate that guy. It's really a
At
shame.
least his character's in a good game now.
Yeah. He hangs out with another terrible ex-Sony creator, David Jeff. But, yeah.
God.
Yeah, that guy's terrible, too. So, yeah, Astrobot comes out. Sony's at a high. They're thinking, hey, we got this.
All is
We got
forgiven.
momentum.
All is forgiven.
Now's the time.
Now's the time we talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro. It's been cooking in the rumors. The rumors have been cooking that this thing actually exists. So let's just announce it. First, we'll name the YouTube video PS5 Pro with Mark Cerny or something like that.
The unlisted
The
YouTube
unlisted
video.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
And
The
then,
day before.
and then people will find it. And so then we have to change it to
PlayStation
the
Technical
PlayStation
Showcase
5
or something
Technical
like that.
Showcase or whatever.
That was funny.
Not with Mark Cerny in the title.
And then I'm
It's such a stupid, like...
Such a way of
Avoidable
sequence of
gaffe.
events.
Yeah.
Comedy of errors.
so I'm watching this 9-minute presentation. They're showing some upgraded textures, a little bit better field of view in the distance. There's not as much fog.
It seemed like the whole premise of the presentation was that, like, they were talking about how they didn't want users to have to choose between performance or graphics mode anymore. So they created this so you can have the best of both worlds.
Anymore.
Yeah, let's unpack
Hold on, wait.
Okay,
We got to
okay.
get through the presentation.
Okay.
Then we can unpack it. They show off, in my opinion, mostly meaningless differences between video
Yeah,
games.
absolutely.
Yes.
They show off Spider-Man doing acrobatics before grabbing people. They show off people in a crowd in the distance of Ratchet and Clank. Now, what you notice in this presentation is that they have to zoom into things in the distance because it is not changing
Right, nothing...
the upfront stuff.
You're not going to actually notice any of this stuff.
Correct. And so
The one thing that would be noticeable is frame rate,
it's
depending
frame
on what
rate.
it is.
And the one thing they did show that looked, in my opinion, drastically different was Hogwarts Legacy, where the ray tracing was off the walls with the windows and the floors and the way everything looked. But that's still running at 30.
Yeah, I was
it
about to
just
say,
has
it still
better
looked
ray
like it was
tracing.
chugging.
They showed a lot of control, which I thought was surprising.
Well, that's because that game is a beast.
Yeah.
That is basically, I hesitate to put it in the same echelon, but it essentially is this generation's Crisis. It is like...
But it came out on the
Right,
previous generation,
yeah.
which I think is why it's kind of
ran
surprising.
really
yeah.
it
did.
It ran
run
badly,
great.
but it has a way high upside. That's
Yeah.
the thing. And that's because it's just a physics intensive game
Right.
like Crysis was. And so here's the thing. They show all this and they're like, this is all possible with the PS5 Pro, blah, blah, blah. And then for 5 seconds, they show a price. Barely 5 seconds, and then the video ends. Because that price is coming out November 7th. This thing is going to cost $699.99, which is
Very expensive.
absolutely bonkers for a console that is... So let's unpack slightly where this is putting Sony in the power game. The PS5, whether or not people
Incrementally higher.
understand this, is technically less powerful than the Series X as is.
Yes.
That is something that's always been factual, but the weird thing is that developers have been developing for the PS5 because it has the larger install base. So they basically just port the game to Xbox, which is where some of the weirdness happens there. And why some games will sometimes look better on the PS5 than it does on the Xbox. The Xbox Series X is more powerful. This technically, if you're looking at it at like a 2 lines on a chart, and like the PS5 is at the very bottom, and the Xbox Series X is 50% of the way there, it's kind of like putting the PS5 Pro, I'm estimating, at like the 75% to 80.
Yeah.
Like it's just leaping a little bit further
Yeah.
than the Xbox.
Look, this is... It's an incremental upgrade.
Yeah.
It's
bizarre, and then it costs $700. Technically, if you want a disc drive, $800 at that
yeah,
point.
And
it
a
doesn't come
vertical
with the disc
stand.
drive. Yeah, the vertical stand is also extra too.
Yeah. Both of those
$30
things are
vertical
sold
stand.
separately. You have this console that is touting itself with all these visual updates and upgrades and stuff that it is capable of doing supposedly for these games. And you're not going to include a 4K Blu-ray drive on it for some
That
god-awful
costs
reason.
like $10.
Yeah.
Those things are so cheap.
you
now,
know,
it's-
Which was built in the original version.
Yeah, you know, this player that is capable of, you know, putting the discs in it to play these high fidelity things.
It's a strange
It's
price.
'cause you can-
It the moment rivals the reveal of the original PS3 price
Correct.
in terms of
That is-
absurdity.
Yeah.
And then, especially when you remember that the PS4 Pro launched at $400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
So yeah, that's another thing. PS5 Pro, $700. You can get the slightly worse Xbox Series X for $200 cheaper, if not sometimes even less
yeah.
than that, depending
And-
on where you're getting it from.
And
if
has
it's
the
on
potential
sale.
of having Game Pass on it.
Yeah, and it has a disc drive and a vertical
or
stand.
here's my other thing. Like I am a big...
It's weird that the Series X has a vertical stand when it's just a square.
Yeah. Well,
It doesn't have a vertical. It's built in. You can't take it off.
you can't?
The Series X?
I think you can, but I don't know why you would. But I also don't know why it exists.
So the weird thing is also that you could just buy a Series S. It
Yeah.
plays everything. It just does it at 1080p, which, and then you get that for like $250 nowadays.
Yeah.
Sometimes $200 depending on the sale you find.
But
It is
look, I mean, this thing is for like
sure, yeah, it is.
it's for the people for whom the price tag does not matter, and they just want the highest spec thing, which would be all well and good if it seemed like it was actually offering what
Anything.
it says it's offering.
So
because it seems like people like Digital Foundry and stuff, they're looking into it, and like we said earlier, that a bunch of games are still going to be in 30 FPS.
So yeah, here's the other thing I wanted to unpack earlier, specifically based off of this point, is that Mark Cerny during this reveal says that, and this is paraphrasing, that the majority of players are choosing performance mode over graphics mode when they are playing games on their PS5s. So they prefer better frame rates, smoother gameplay over hyper-real, as highly fidelitied as possible.
Not me. I always choose graphics mode.
Yeah, and you're crazy for that. You are clearly in the minority. And so
30 frames don't bother me.
And so, as being on the outside looking in on this, I would see that and think, okay, so this console doesn't need to be pushing graphic stuff as much because most people already aren't using it in the first place. But also, on the other hand, on the developmental side of things, games do not need to take as long in their in development in pursuit of hyperreal graphics. Not as much money needs to go into the budgets for them.
But part of what, okay, I think
what I'm
that's
getting
a
at is
valid
that
frustration. But
we're getting to a bubble on how hyperreal graphics can get at this point.
Sure, but
this is not pushing it any further, really.
Yes, this is, but that is where the pisser comes into play, and that's like that's the one thing about this that is impressive, but realistically, every graphics card out there has DLSS already. Is that the pisser is
what a wonderful acronym.
It essentially is taking a 720.
What is pisser?
The PlayStation Sample Super Resolution.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The PSSR. It's
their
their
AI upscale.
Yeah.
It's their answer to DLSS, which has been boon on PCs because it lowers
It's soon to be a boon for the Switch 2.
Right.
If
Exactly.
rumors are to be believed.
Yes.
Wow.
And I probably because
And I believe them.
I do too. Because part of I just listened to a lot of podcasts.
I believe it because it's an NVIDIA tech, and NVIDIA
Right.
has the graphics cards for the Switch.
Essentially, NVIDIA has done a lot of heavy lifting for Nintendo.
Yes.
Because Nintendo paid them money. And
It's
it's all
weird.
around backwards compatibility, which
Yeah.
is hilarious.
I think this is apropos of nothing, but it's weird that NVIDIA is like the leader in graphics card stuff tech for PCs, and yet Nintendo is like the first console that they are launching cards for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the PS5 Pro.
So what they are able to do with the essentially DLSS competitor is take a 720p image, upscale it to true 4K with super sampling. And that's super cool. It helps take a lot of demand off of certain parts of the system, all that stuff. Forrest, some of your frustration is that games should look worse and take shorter. I understand. I'm not invalidating your argument, but the DLSS helps that in a way because it takes a smaller looking image and can make it bigger, and that way you don't have to learn how to optimize it because the thing is optimizing for you.
It's kind of like in the way that like CRTVs way back in the day, kind of like the way those images were displayed from video games onto those screens were not how they actually looked, but
Right.
it made them look better because of
the scan lines.
yeah.
So this is the other problem that most people don't have TVs
That are capable.
It's
of
also like
that can
in,
handle any of this.
It's also like how in Minority Report they would pull up an image and go enhance and be able to see more detail
Wow,
of it.
you are so right about that.
correct.
That technology finally exists.
Basically, that is essentially what is happening. DLSS was a boon for people playing Cyberpunk 2077 back when it came out. It essentially made
It's the only
game,
way to make it good.
It was the only way to make it good looking and playable. And so this technology is a miracle. It's very interesting. But we in America don't, the people that are going to buy this, I would argue, are, yes, some of the people that have enough money, but I've seen people's gaming setups when I go to people's houses. I'm like, oh, no, you shouldn't even have like a Series X. You should just have a Series S because your TV is like 10 years old.
And it
So,
can't
like,
handle any of this
It's
extra
not pushing any of this
benefit.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't care about that. They just want to have the most recent console.
I get that. I think there's an amount of self-awareness that people should have.
Look, we can all agree that this is stupid and people who buy it are stupid.
Yeah, that is the true answer.
Yeah, that's the that's the Unimind
I
answer.
don't-
Let me. I will revise that. The people who buy it at the $700 price tag are stupid.
Yeah,
If in the future it comes down to like the price of the PS5, which I doubt it will.
my boy Chris wants it, but he does not like the price tag.
Yeah, it's absurd.
And it's because it's absurd. And at the end of the day, it's not. It is extremely telling, in my opinion, that they showed off weird, in the distance things that no one would look at
Yeah, it's
in
because
older games
right. It's because
that
like
are not new games.
Yeah.
in new games, it's not going to be as like a huge visual upgrade. Like it's not going to be noticeable. That's why it has to
Exactly.
be stuff in the background. And even then, I would, this. I famously played on the PS3 for forever.
I know.
Into the next
I know.
generation, and continued to argue that it was the same quality.
I mean, that's how I was.
And
with
I stand
my
by those arguments.
Original Xbox One.
Destiny 2 looked like a
But
Lego
I think
game.
that no, I was only playing
No, it's
Destiny 1
Destiny
on there.
1.
Yeah.
It looked like a Lego
No,
game.
it did not. It looked fine. But David's
I mean, from what
making
I
this
remember,
face.
Destiny 1 on the 360 looked fine.
Yeah, it looked fine. It looked great, even.
It looked fine on my my 720p TV that I was
That's the
playing
other
on
thing.
back
I
in the
didn't.
day.
I didn't have a TV that could handle the increased capacity.
No, that's what made me mad at you. You did at the time. You did.
No,
have
I
it.
couldn't have. But look, I mean, I think. So you're gonna have to take my views with a grain of salt because I couldn't tell the difference between PS3 and PS4 back then, if there was a difference. What you're gonna get with this is not gonna be enough of. It's not gonna be any visually any different to your naked eye. I think the experiences is not gonna change, unless stuff that can run 60 frames per second that previously could not do it. But it sounds like from people who were talking about the specs of it, like those games are going to be few and far between versus like what the expectation is. And even like future games, I know that IGN put out a very funny headline that said that had experts say that the PS5 Pro won't be able to run Grand Theft Auto 6 in 4K 60 FPS when it comes out, which is just like, I think is hilarious for a console that is touting its ability to run high graphics at high frame rates.
Yeah.
But especially for this price tag, it's what you're getting is not going to be worth what you're paying.
This is.
And I think it highlights the disconnect of like Sony games and just sort of not really, despite having the big install base and all of the hype when the PS5 first launched, they just don't really seem to have any sort of touch with the player base and with with gaming as a whole.
And because they are unchecked.
But I also I could also argue that Microsoft doesn't either. But they're at least trying, but they seem to just continue to fail when it comes to putting out games and figuring out how to release what people want.
Or if they do put out a good game, it's just a smaller scale thing. Like that's the thing with Microsoft's
which they then shutter the company.
Yeah. So
They sort of good guide their way out of that somehow.
They got lucky. They got lucky. But yes. So maybe it's not a huge deal that Sony seems to be operating with their head in the sand when Microsoft is also
They're both doing
not
weird
operating
things,
with their
but
head in the sand on purpose, but their head is ending up in the sand.
Yeah.
They. It is astounding to me that they are both doing things poorly in different ways. But Sony is, at least this year, operating double poorly because they are doing what they usually do badly while also what they usually don't do badly, but they're because they haven't come out with anything.
Yeah.
Astrobot is a miracle for this year because they had already announced that they had nothing. They're like
Concord was going to be one of their tent poles.
Concord.
And now it doesn't exist anymore.
And you can't count Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because that's Square Enix.
And that relationship is rocky now. Neither of them are happy with each other.
But also, Rebirth was a financial disappointment, apparently.
Yeah,
In
they're
terms of numbers.
they're both mad at each other because Sony wanted Square Enix to sell more. Square Enix was mad at how limited their sales were based on the install base.
Yeah.
So they're both pissy with each other now. No Final Fantasy characters are in Astrobot.
That's wild.
It is wild.
Especially when Final
Crazy.
Fantasy VIII's anniversary just happened this last week.
There's 0 Square Enix characters inside Astrobot.
That's really
that's wild.
That's sad to be honest.
But it's because they're pissy with each other now. I'm sure.
I'm sure
that
the developers wanted them in there, but Square
Yeah.
Enix was like, no.
Yeah, we're good. That inevitable Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox announcement is it's happening soon. It's been
they
like the
just did the
worst kept
PC
secret.
announcement.
Yeah, it's been like the worst kept secret. And Square Enix is going back to putting out on everything.
That's the better move.
Well, yeah, that's why Microsoft is going to putting everything on everything, and because it just doesn't make sense to limit your audience anymore. Except unless you're Nintendo.
I think there are different reasons for Microsoft doing it, and that they're. I think they're motivated more by the fact that their strategy of not putting out everywhere was failing.
Right.
And so they were like, well, we kind of have to do this. I think they would prefer to keep their exclusives exclusive, but they know it's not going to work out financially for them.
And Microsoft isn't working on a new console. They've been very clear about that. We're not doing a mid-gen refresh, blah, blah, blah.
They might be working on a handheld.
But they are. That is the one thing that they have not been quiet about.
Right.
They've kind of said, well, we're looking at this. We're trying. And I bet you that probably gets announced at the Game Awards or something.
I really wonder what that would be. I don't know.
It would be a Steam Deck-like both the operating system that works for Xbox.
Yeah. And Game Pass and stuff.
Because that's the biggest thing, is that the ROG Ally runs Windows. Windows doesn't run well on those handhelds because it's meant for computers. The Steam Deck runs on Linux, so it can't really do the Game Pass stuff right unless you sideload Windows. And so making a handheld-specific operating system that can go onto a handheld, even if it's made by some third party. But at the end of the day, if you told me, hey, $500, here's a handheld Game Pass machine, I'm probably buying that as soon as I can.
Yeah.
Over another PS5.
Yeah.
Because I would love to have a Game Pass machine. Yes, give me handheld Game Pass machine.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
I remember those years ago when we thought Game Pass was going to be on Switch. It was the dream back then.
I think it was
still
also
hope that
Xbox's
happens.
dream too. But
I wonder what got in the way of that.
yeah. I wonder if it's going to happen. It could still happen.
Honestly, if that was on Switch too, shoot.
Yeah.
It'd be the best console.
Throw my Xbox in the trash.
Yeah.
But we're entering a weird age. Sony came into the market unimpeded, so they were able to set their own price. there was all the rumors that they wanted to have the PS5 at like $600 anyway.
Insane.
They increasingly, if you pay attention to foreign markets, which I listen to podcasts that do, they have been increasing the price of the PS5 outside of America to that, basically.
Yeah, and they've just increased the price of the controllers.
Yep.
I saw that. So it's $6.99 here. It's also $6.99 in the UK, which is like the equivalent of $1,000.
Yeah, which is way higher in the
Which
UK.
is absurd.
Because it's...
I
yeah.
can't imagine anyone there is going to buy it.
No. Except for like the FIFA streamers. Because
Yeah.
they're going to get one.
Because they're not worried about it.
Man, what a weird thing to exist.
Yeah.
Is the PS5 Pro. $700 is hard to wrap my head around. I really thought it would be $6, at the highest $650. I made a meme pic of saying it was going to be $700 in the Discord,
Well, that's why it happened then.
and then
You brought
But
it into
still,
existence.
but I would have never guessed it would be $800 with a disc tray
Yeah, that's the
and
craziest
a stand. If you're marketing this as a premium product,
And it does not have all of the
Premium
functionality
features.
of
Yeah.
the previous version of it. It's wild. It's just like it's a part of these huge companies continuing to try and find like the new money everywhere, and it's
And really, new money is just split off features from the previous iteration and sell that separately.
yeah, and it's just like, you know, everything we're reaching this like
It's a bubble.
this bubble point where, at least for huge
Getting into the
corporations
boiling point.
like Sony, there's not really going to be any way to pull a profit off of new stuff.
it's just going to be, consoles are going to be phones with incremental upgrades now.
Yeah.
It's all going to be incremental and like 3 years now, because we've reached a threshold of what is possible to make things look like we're butting up against the wall of realism, and whether or not that's feasible and manageable. And it's a weird place to be. But it is what it is. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, none of us know.
This-
Quit asking.
We don't have answers. We just poke at things.
Quit sending us emails.
In other
at
news,
suplexthesticks@gmail.com.
And quit tweeting at
We
us
won't
at
answer them.
Suplex the Sticks. We don't have the answers. And quit joining our Discord to ask us what the future holds. We don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say Destiny 2. I don't know if you saw they had their big.
This is such a pivot. I'm here for it.
They released like their new roadmap, and it seems like they're going back to the
They're
model from
still?
Destiny 1, basically.
Oh my god.
And that there are going to be like 2 big expansions this year, and they're getting rid of the paid season content. It's so weird. But they also said in like in a dev post, they were talking about how they know that Destiny 2 needs to change because they put out these huge campaigns and then you play them once and there's no reason to ever play it again. So, but they specifically talked about how they were looking at incorporating Metroidvania and roguelite style stuff into their campaign expansions, which sounds absolutely absurd. I have no idea how that would work. But
Yeah.
Destiny's still trying to make it work.
Destiny 2, a game that
I wonder if anyone who
It
worked on the
refuses to
original
die.
release is working on it now.
also was ruined by upgrading to 60 frames per second.
For me, for sure.
For me, also.
I remember there was one night
And
years
Apex.
back that I tried playing Destiny 2 with you on my original Xbox One, and it took a solid 2 to 4 minutes to even just boot up the game. It was a wonderful
It's gotta be
experience.
the biggest game that's ever released in terms of storage sides.
Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think
Call of Duty is trumping that now.
No, but
it dwarfs it.
I agree, but I'm talking about like the cumulative amount of space. If you took like, because so much of the stuff that is in Destiny 2 that used to be in it you can't access it anymore. But I'm saying if you put all that stuff into one game, the file size would be enormous.
I wonder which would be bigger because Call of Duty has been getting
That's true. It is absurdly
massive.
large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need all that space for the Omni movement.
You know, the PS5 Pro does come with 2 terabytes, which I guess is the consolation.
Yeah.
That
Consolation.
$100 per
Consultation.
terabyte. That's not how that works.
No.
But
I mean, sometimes it feels that way. I mean, don't some of the newer Xbox releases that they've done have 2 terabyte built in now?
yes,
Good.
Yeah, but with those
Good
Xbox,
for
you can
them.
also get those memory cards, which are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still want to get one of those.
Yeah, if only they didn't cost
Yo,
$200.
that's
a lot of them don't now. They're on the decline on
Good.
the price.
good. I'll get them maybe in about 2 Christmases.
I'll mark
from
some
now.
tape on the end of one and write something on it to feel something.
Yeah.
But all right, is there any other news that you guys have?
I
don't think so.
I think I've said my pieces.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you listening as always. I'll be back in. Well, I mean, it's a short one, but we'll be back in a week or two, and we'll let you know how things are going. And we're getting into, once October starts hitting, we get the rumor mill of Game Awards.
Ooh.
Great.
Also, I think we get Tokyo Game Show coming up.
Yeah,
Bunch
I
of
do.
stuff like that.
The word is that we will know about the Switch 2 before Tokyo Game Show.
Mm.
I wonder.
That's the rumor on the street.
I wonder what do you put? How soon do we start getting rumors that Silk Song is going to be at the Game Awards?
I think they've already started.
That's true.
I mean, I already started.
Yeah.
The moment that Direct did nothing. So, yeah. They could announce it as a Switch 2 launch title. And then I would be
doubt it.
happy.
That'd be crazy.
And I would be patient. I'd be patient and kind about it.
All you need is a release date.
Yeah.
and you're
That's all I
willing
need.
to wait. You
Maybe
just want to
even-
know how
oh,
long.
yeah.
Maybe even not a specific date, but just a window.
No, I'm past being
Okay,
acceptable
heard.
of a window. It was in that Xbox showcase where they promised everything was coming out in a year.
That's
So-
so. Dang.
And Microsoft, I think, had their buns a little toasted about that too. So, because I remember Phil Spencer after that being like, "Yeah, we know we've got Silksong to nail down the time frame," and
And then
even Mighty Phil could not. He was able to get Microsoft and them to allow unionization in the studios, but he couldn't get Team Cherry to release Silksong. So,
that's crazy.
all right. Well, we appreciate you listening, and we will talk at you next week. Bye.
Bye.
We appreciate you playing the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Bye.